Hello.
Hello. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Thank you. Best day ever. How are you?
Awesome. Amazing day. Beautiful cold day here in Tampa. We don't get
It's a
much
little
of those, so
Yeah,
I
I
get to celebrate that. But yeah. So everyone, this is the Hanuman Healing Hour. This is a great friend of mine. I don't want to introduce him too much because I definitely want him to be able to say and speak. And Um, so he is someone that I see on TikTok a lot, and he's doing a lot of great things for the furtherment of the great idea of us all being one and being connected.
To DN -1.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. And so I think he's really somebody that can and definitely has a voice and lead other people to their voice. And so without much other ado, this is a great person. Should I call you Willie? Should I call
You
you
call
Weed
me,
Wacker?
you're welcome to call me Willie, or Greg is my real name. That
Great.
works too.
Definitely.
Greg is fine. Willie. Most people call me Willie if they know me from the internet.
Yeah, from TikTok. Is that like your other social media type stuff too, or?
No, actually, that's all I do is Weed Wacker Willie TikTok. Um,
Oh, okay, very cool.
it was kind of an accident when it happened. So
Oh yeah, just
yeah,
I got into it just kind of playing with it. Did you had a
yeah,
reason to get on there, or
that
yeah?
was just anyway. I was interested in seeing what it was about. I was going to do initially the what I call the Adventures of Weed Whacker Willie, and it was just going to be
Oh
my
okay.
adventures in Colorado and where we traveled to, my late wife and I. That's the way how it
Oh
started.
oh. Hmm.
So
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, like I was telling the listeners and everything, I do see a lot of really awesome things that you're doing, especially with uh, there's a couple of times I've seen some videos of yours, and a lot of it's like someone is asking a question and they're in that spot that almost want to give up spot. You know what I mean?
yes,
And a lot of times, just by and I can see because they'll react to it, and I'm one of those weird people that read comments and stuff, and they'll react to it, and it legitimately helps them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you hit it on the spot sometimes.
hmm
And I just kind of am really interested in how you became to be that person, be that consciousness from that place. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. It was a pretty long walk, but I give you the gist of it.
Mm,
I think the main reason that I even began to want to become anything different than, or even want to even explore this option was that I was tired of myself hurting so bad. I
mm,
was tired personally of all the pain that I was carrying, and all the worry and the stress and the agony, just basically living in what I
mm.
call hell.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find answers for myself initially. So I began to seek my own relief, if you will, my own personal salvation. How do I
Mm,
begin the process of not hurting anymore, which is really my goal.
right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
once I started that and I worked my way through a lot of different avenues and paths to get here, I realized that it was my purpose in a sense to go through what I went through, to know the paths to be where I am today for my purpose today. What I know
Right.
now, what I had no idea of then. But
Right. Yes. Of course.
yeah,
Right. Hmm.
it's crazy how we
Yeah. And
grow.
yeah, it really is. I've seen a lot, of people that are really yearning for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like they're in that pain spot, and
we all
oh yeah, and like you were saying earlier today, it's a continuous process. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
You get to a spot, and then the next thing you know, there's more.
Yeah.
You know.
We're driven by a constant, there's a constant drive for happiness, for goodness. We're in a constant pursuit of happiness, driven by a force of either fear or
Right.
growth. Either or. You can't have both. I mean, you can
Right.
be afraid to guide you through your growth, but you can't live in fear and think you're going to grow from it. Experience it,
Yeah,
know it.
no.
Don't think you're going to grow from it by existing there.
Right. Yeah.
So
No,
all of us want to be happy. That's all of our purpose. That's why our hearts say, I want this kind of happy world. Everybody wants it, because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, I believe that fully too. You know, and it's a lot of the people I see are in that fear place. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Because
absolutely.
of the egos and things that get challenged. And
Mhm. Yes.
you were also saying, like, stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Challenging those egos. And
Yes.
you know, how do you do that on like a daily, your practice of doing that? You know what I mean?
What are my practices to essentially center myself, I think is what you're asking.
Pretty much, yeah.
How do I find my center, my chi, my calmness, my balance, my
Yeah.
grounding, all of that? How do I make that work every day? I don't really do anything, to be honest with you, other than I don't have a ritual per se.
Right.
I think the most important thing for me that I can tell you this, that the first thing that I think when I realize I'm conscious again in this reality is I quickly and frantically find 3 things to be grateful for and mean it.
Yeah. I like that.
I want to be happy immediately. So I immediately, excuse me.
You're okay.
I immediately throw my biggest heart of love that I can into finding 3 things that I am absolutely amazingly grateful for.
Yeah.
And that sets my precedence for the day to become, to be grateful all the time. And when you're grateful, you attract gratefulness, essentially. So what you do is, just by being grateful and being thankful for what you have and not being in need, per se, of more, but no, you can if you need it. But just to be okay where you are with yourself, where you are, and be grateful for that. And then you find that anything that comes at you is really cool to you. You just really enjoy it because you have a love for it, you have a gratefulness for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So everything in life starts to look good for you. You start seeing the joy and the goodness in everything, which is important.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I can, that's a practice I have practiced, and it's one that I probably should not give up so much faith in. You know what I mean?
Right. It might seem simple and trivial at the time, but that you got to think about it. When you wake up, you're in that alpha state of thinking. You're already starting. We're usually in the habit of beginning to plan our day. Our immediate thoughts are, I got to pay these bills. I got to take this to that. So-and-so's got to go to practice. We got to do this in my job. And we start all of a sudden piling worries and fears and anxiety on top of ourselves. So we immediately get that state of mind from that brainwave state we're in when we wake up. So scientifically, that makes sense. And spiritually, it makes sense. So when you're in that state, when you feed yourself the most positive love you can feed yourself, then that is what you receive first and foremost. And your brain is like, cool, let's do this. So you just kind of, so to answer your question in a kind of a side note way, I don't really do any kind of ritualistic thing. I don't get up and meditate, take cold showers and eat certain foods. I don't really do that. I don't bow and pray or any of that. I simply remind myself, I give thanks, first of all, that I can do it again. That's my first thing.
Right.
Whether I'm happy about it or not, I make myself just, yes, I'm glad to be here because I know this is a purpose and a reason. I know I'm doing what I'm doing right now for its purpose.
Right.
And I'm glad to be here. And then there was 3 things that I'm extremely grateful for. It might be for the warm fuzzy covers that I've got because the carpet feels fuzzy under my feet. I just feel good today. Whatever. Just 3 things that I'm just deeply grateful for. And that just sets that precedence. And then from then on, your mind is in that state of being. So that's kind of how I do it. I set my
Right.
mind the way I want it to be.
Yeah, I totally see that. And I, you know, I follow a teacher, Ram Dass, and
Yeah.
he
Very wise.
teaches exactly, you know, very much what you're talking about is
That's that.
yeah, and being in that like immediate moment, coming into consciousness, you know what I mean, and coming into the true self before your egos and things, and
Yeah.
really get the ability to take hold of everything, you know what I
To
mean.
understand that you have the choice to choose where you want to be at any given time consciously. Understand it with your mind, with your
Right.
thought process.
Right.
Okay. So if your first opportunity when you wake up is to provide yourself with your first bit of information, you had probably better want to give yourself good information so that you can start
Right.
your day in a
Yeah.
positive attitude, you see.
Yeah.
Two,
Yeah.
you have the choice to, which, yeah, anyway, go ahead, what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Definitely. No, you didn't. You definitely added. I really see, you know, in holding it in the way you do, I really like, because you hold it more in a like with Ram Dass. Yes, he understood it, right, but it was in that very analytical, almost lectured
Scientific kind of way.
science way. Yeah, science way. You know what I mean? And so a lot of people nowadays are looking for the grace type of understanding. You know what I mean? The more
Yeah.
you know, kinder, the loving, and I really like the way that you put it. You know what I
More,
mean?
the more Aquarian, motherly type, feminine.
Yes, yes, very feminine, and
More of
you
the
know,
feminine aspect. Absolutely.
mhm. And I think a lot of people are really more inclined to that. Especially, I know some younger generations than me. You know,
Sure.
the
Especially
people
men.
I talk to. Well, yeah, you know, and I've noticed that it's something that they're very, you know, it just kind of comes on very smoothly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as opposed to like the scientific, let me explain it to you type of way. You know what I mean?
I try and be as lovingly honest as possible. That's my rule.
Right. Yeah.
I want to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest, but I want to be as loving and as kind as I can in the process.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very
And
important.
it's, and that in itself for me is a practice. You know what I mean? Is
Absolutely.
something that I have to consciously try to do every day, because
Yes.
you know, I'll see certain people, or you know, like a friend of mine describes it as driving in traffic and somebody cuts you off. You know what I mean? Like you want to be conscious up until the point that happens.
You'll learn
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, no, and
You'll learn.
that's why I really like the way that you put it, what you put today about, you know, it being a process. You know what I mean? And it being a continuing process. You know.
That's right. We have this notion, a lot of people think, and that's where we get most of our fear. Well, we get a lot of our training to try and think linearly, like I have a goal to meet, I have to do this before this happens, or else something is going to happen. You see, we're kind of in that linear thinking of, if I don't, then this bad thing will happen. And that goes with where we think we're supposed to get to, because we have a
Right.
desire in our heart to be more godlike, spiritual, like, if you will, whatever that is, more non-physical energy. We have a notion to want to be that. That's why we look to religion and philosophers and theologians and gurus and Sikhs. And that's why we look to them, because we think they have this mystic knowing that we want, but it's not really, it's already there. We just got to realize it, really.
Yeah.
But
and
I don't know where I was
going. No, I totally see where you're going, you know, and a lot of people do look for the outside. You know what I mean? They look for the person on the outside that's gonna teach or be that for me. You know what I mean? Like, Christ was never meant to be worshipped. He was meant to be understood, and his words were meant to be seen as very wise words and a guidance. But as far as, let me bow down and
I
fear
have my
you.
own thoughts on Christ.
Well, what are yours? I'd love to hear yours.
Well, see,
You know.
Christ to me is not a man. Christ is not the last name of a guy named Jesus. And I don't want
Right.
to be rude in saying that, but we have been
No,
fed
I
and we have
understand.
made the assumption that there is this man whose name is Jesus Christ. That's his name. And he was alive a long
Mhm.
time ago. And he died a horrible death, and we need to remember that. And so we can be saved. And that's pretty much the gist of what people think. But
Right.
Christ is a consciousness. It's a state of knowing
Yes.
God, knowing your higher self.
Mhm.
Krishna, when the same as is the chi or
Mhm.
Buddha. It's the same thing. It's
Yep.
the same knowing that all universal energy is everything, and that you are that everything as universal energy. And that energy that you have that you can use, that even keeps you alive, you can use that
Mhm.
energy and create with it by your
Yeah.
beliefs and by your power that you are as divine.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
that
I
Christ
totally
energy
understand.
is the energy of God, that all that is. That is the energy, the life force energy that even gives you consciousness. That is Christ.
Yeah.
So when you find your Christ consciousness, you find your God, if you will, or you find your way back to
Mhm.
God, your higher self, your true being that you are, not your self body, earthly thing.
Right. Right.
So
Not
to me,
your
that's what
not your
Christ is.
vessel.
Right. And Jesus, Yeshua came and found Christ then and tried to teach the
Right.
same thing then, and became a martyr for that cause and ended up being crucified, which a lot of criminals were.
Right.
This just
That
happened to
was
be personified by the church. And then, but see, that what the church doesn't understand is we shouldn't be so fixed on the cross thing and the death and the blood and gore and guts, but on the resurrection or the defeation, is that a word? The defeating of death,
it.
which is basically what, once you find your Christ, you will
Right.
essentially defeat your death, which is your personal hell you're living in here in this personal hell you've created.
Yep.
So when you find Christ, you find your Buddha, your chi. Not really
Yep.
nirvana per se, but and it's not over. It's just that you're trying to find that now. Once you
Right.
find that
Yeah.
joy and it serves you, then you'll go to the next joy. So it can even be bigger than this. It's amazing when you think of it.
Oh yeah. And I understand completely what you're talking about. And for me, I see it and it goes a lot of different levels. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You get into the Christ consciousness and then, you start studying, like you said, Krishna, you know what I mean? Which
Mhm.
in my idea set is the same being. It's just like you were saying, the same energy. It's all
It's the
the
same
same
idea.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same conception. Yeah,
And
exactly. We
the
use
the
words
Hindu,
to form titles of perceptions
yeah,
to
the
identify.
Hindus,
Right.
just to identify, right? Yep. The Hindus have a term called sub-ek, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
means all is one. And it applies to every dimension that there is,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
whether it's your physical or your non-physical, your astral, whatever it is, right? All of it is the same energy. So you are,
All frequency is encompassed in one energy.
yeah. So like when the crazy guy down the road was walking around saying, "I'm Jesus Christ." Well, yes, you are. You know,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
are
You
the
go.
same exact dirt that creature was too, and you have the same consciousness in you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not really Hindu,
Definitely.
but yeah.
Well, you,
Even
yeah,
you
you are
yourself are an imaginary concept, but we'll go
very
deep
much.
into that later.
Oh yeah. Well, I would love to have you back on for maybe another discussion and anything of that. But yeah, definitely, that would be a great one.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, do you have any like other social medias or anything you want to tell anybody to get in contact with you or anything of that nature?
Not at the moment, other than just my TikTok account. If you go onto TikTok at Weed Wacker Willy, you'll find me. Right now, that's the only platform I have. I'm working on trying to get more. I've just recently, gained quite a bit more followers. I want to
Yeah,
say
I've
recently,
noticed.
not really. I want to say really, and even with Weed Whacker Willie, I'd like to put this out that what I'm doing is representing, excuse me, what I call sanctuary. And this is a
Mm,
movement that I'm starting. I want to be able to have the property and build facilities where we can eventually begin building self-sustaining, true green, supportive communities for everybody. Be able to give people jobs, get the homeless off the streets, keep people fed, and using our gifts and abilities and talents for those things. Because I firmly believe the leaf needs to come and be the leaf, but the tree can't be the tree. If the tree can't be the tree, the forest can't be the forest can't help the earth can't be the galaxy, and so forth. You see, everything has its purpose and time and meaning.
Right.
And I believe that by doing this, we can unlock all of our purposes, and we can help people who are struggling to find their joy, their purpose, path, mission, to know their Christ, to know their Kundalini, their Chi, and to be able to give that gift of that back to their community. And when everybody's taking care of everybody, nobody has to take care of themselves. Everybody is abundantly healthy, strong, happy, mighty, and glorious. That's my dream.
Love that. I love that. And I would love to help you make that happen. That's a beautiful
sanctuaries.
You know, it is.
We are a sanctuary.
Yeah. You know, and it's definitely something I think is needed, you know, and
absolutely.
And like I said, I would love to have you back on another time, you know.
Sure.
Definitely.
Sure.
But yeah, so definitely
I'll have more information later.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll be in contact with you about it and all that. That's too. Cool. So maybe keep my followers posted and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So but definitely I love talking to you. I love you, my man. Thank you so much for sharing you with us, you know, and just being and holding space with me, you know.
I appreciate that.
But this is this has been the Hanuman Healing Hour. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and definitely check Mr. Greg out, Mr. Weed Wacker Willy. You know, great being, and he's doing amazing things. Look forward to the sanctuary. Everyone have a great day. Namaste.